Dust rolled across the ground as the sun slowly set behind the rocky hills of the small mining planet. The outpost was quiet, almost silent, except for the voice of a young girl shouting with all the anger she had carried for years. Her name was Lira, and she stood in front of an old man named Commander Hale, her eyes full of fire. "You are not my father," she yelled, her voice shaking with emotion. Hale did not move. He simply stood there, calm but broken inside. His gray hair moved with the dry wind, and his tired eyes watched Lira with a sadness he could not hide. He had raised her since she was a child, protected her, trained her, and kept her safe from the dangers of the galaxy. But Lira never believed his stories, never believed the threats he talked about, and never believed that he cared for her like a real daughter. "Lira," Holly spoke softly, "you do not understand. You are not safe out there." "I don't care," she shouted again. "I'm leaving this place forever." Holly took one slow step toward her, but she stepped back quickly, like she could not stand being near him. "Please," Holly said. "There are people who will come for you. People who know who you are. People who stop lying." Lira cut him off. "I'm listening to your warnings. I want my own life." "Huh? On my own life? I want my own future." Holly opened his mouth to speak, but Lira had already turned away. She grabbed her small bag, swung it over her shoulder, and walked toward the waiting transport ship. The engines hummed, the metal ramp lowered, and a group of travelers waved her inside. Holly watched her walk away. He did not call her back. He did not chase her. He only whispered something so quietly that the wind carried it away. "I hope you survive," he said. Lira stepped onto the ship without looking back, but for a tiny second she felt something inside her twist. She ignored it. She felt free, excited, and ready to escape the boring outpost she hated so much. The ramp closed. The engines roared. The ship lifted into the dark sky. Inside, the travelers smiled at her. "Welcome with us, Lira," said a tall man with a long scar across his cheek. "We will take you far from here. A new life, as you want." Lira nodded. "Thank you. Anything is better than staying with that man." The tall man smirked, but his eyes did not show kindness. They showed calculation. "We will take good care of you," he said. The ship jumped into space. Lira sat near a window, staring at the stars. She felt light, free, and powerful for the first time in her life. But as the minutes passed, she noticed something strange. The crew kept whispering. They kept looking at her. And the tall man with the scar kept asking questions. "You said the old man raised you?" He asked casually. "Did he ever tell you why?" "No," Lira answered. "He told stupid stories. He said the galaxy was dangerous for me." "And you didn't believe him?" "Of course not," Lira said. "Who would come after me?" The man's smile widened. "That's a very good question." Suddenly an alarm screamed through the ship. Red lights flashed. The ship shook violently. "What's happening?" Lyra shouted. The pilot panicked. "Unknown ships behind us. They are locking weapons. They want us to stop." The tall man cursed under his breath. "They found her faster than I expected." Lyra froze. "Found me? What do you mean?" Before she got an answer, the ship was hit. The impact threw her forward. Sparks filled the air. Smoke poured from the walls. Lyra grabbed a metal bar to keep her balance. Outside the window, dark triangular ships swarmed toward them like predators ready to attack. "Why are they chasing us?" Lyra cried. The man with the scar looked straight at her. "They are not chasing us. They are chasing you." Lyra stared at him, her heart pounding. "Why me?" He leaned closer. "Because your blood is not normal. And because the old man you hate so much was hiding you from them." Lyra felt her stomach drop. No, he was lying, was he? The man replied coldly. The ship shook again. The enemy ships prepared to board. Lyra's hands trembled. For the first time, fear wrapped around her like chains. Everything Holly warned her about suddenly felt real. The tall man grabbed her arm. "Listen, they want you alive. So do we. But if you want to live, you must do exactly what I say. I don't trust you, Lira whispered. You don't have to trust me, he said. But you will die if you don't move. The lights went out. The ship went silent. Something latched onto the hull, something big. The metal groaned as if being torn apart. Lira thought of Hale standing alone, watching her leave. She remembered his sad eyes, his quiet voice, his warning. The galaxy is not safe for you. She had denied him. She had rejected him. She had run away from the only person who ever protected her dot, and now it was too late. The final sound of the hook was loud metal footsteps approaching her in the darkness, and Lira realized the nightmare Holly tried to save her from had finally found her. *A. Cold shock ran through Lyra's body as the metal footsteps grew louder. The lights flickered for a second, then the hallway outside her cabin filled with shadows. The crew members who promised her a better life stood frozen, terrified, staring at the sealed door. The tall man with the scar grabbed her wrist and whispered sharply, "Stay behind me. Do not make a sound." But Lyra's voice cracked. "What do they want from me?" He looked at her with a strange mix of fear and regret. "You'll know very soon." Before she could ask anything else, the door burst open with a violent blast. Smoke rushed in. Two massive alien soldiers stepped inside, covered in black armor that looked almost alive. Their helmets were long and sharp, glowing with red lines that pulsed like veins. They carried strange weapons that hummed with energy. One of them pointed at Lira immediately. "There, the target." "Take her," Lira gasped. "Target. I'm just a girl." "You are not just a girl," the scarred man said under his breath. "Not even close." The aliens marched toward her. Lira felt her legs weaken. The scarred man tried to block them, but one alien hit him with a powerful strike that sent him crashing into a wall. He fell, coughing, unable to stand again. Lira backed away until her shoulders hit metal. The aliens reached for her, their large hands glowing with strange blue cuffs. "No. No, please," she whispered. One of them paused, as if scanning her face. Then it said something that made her blood freeze. Her bloodline matches. "Bring her to the core chamber." Lira didn't understand a single word. Bloodline? Core chamber? What did this mean? What were they planning to do with her? "Let me go," she screamed, but her voice disappeared under the sound of the ship tearing apart. The aliens attached the glowing cuffs to her wrists. Lira felt a shock run through her arms. Her vision blurred. Her legs gave up. She fell forward, but the aliens caught her like she was a package, not a person. They dragged her through the broken hallway and into a large docking tunnel connected to their warship. The air inside was cold and heavy. Strange symbols glowed along the walls. Everything felt wrong, like she had stepped into a nightmare she couldn't escape. When she opened her eyes again, she was in a bright metal cell. Her arms were locked to a floating pillar of light. Her feet could touch the ground, but the energy cuffs kept her from moving more than a few steps. She pulled and twisted. But it was impossible to break free. A soft mechanical voice echoed through the room. "Subject Lira, human, age 17. Blood anomaly confirmed." "What anomaly?" she shouted. "Why am I here?" A door opened with a silent slide. Two aliens entered, followed by a taller figure wearing a flowing black coat and a mask shaped like a long blade. His presence made the air colder. He stepped close to her. "So," he said, his voice deep and calm, "the child finally leaves her protector." Lira stared at him. "What are you talking about?" "The old man," the masked leader said. "Commander Hale. He hid you for 17 years, but he could not hide you forever." Lyra's heart stopped for a moment. Had been hiding her? Why? From who? For what reason? The leader tapped a device on his wrist. A glowing screen appeared, showing a pattern of strange symbols. Your blood contains something lost for centuries. Something that only ancient humans carried. Something that can control the weapons of the First Empire. Lira shook her head quickly. "That's not true. I'm normal." "No," the leader said. "You are far from normal. And that is why the galaxy wants you." Lyra felt her breath shorten. Confusion and fear spun inside her like storms. Halle knew this, the leader continued. He was once our enemy. He stole you from a research ship before we could take you. He raised you, protected you, trained you, but he could never change what you were. Lyra felt her entire world break apart. Everything she believed, her past, her life, her anger, now felt like lies. Halle. Saved me? She whispered. The leader tilted his head. Yes, but he also lied to you. He never told you the truth. Because he feared you would run away. And you did. The words cut her deeper than any blade. The leader turned away and gave an order. Prepare the core chamber. The girl activates it tonight. Lyra's eyes widened. Activate what? But the aliens did not answer. They left the room, sealing the door behind them. Lyra stood alone, trapped, shaking, while the lights dimmed and a low humming sound filled the cell. And in that heavy silence, she realized something terrifying. Halle wasn't lying. His warnings were real. The danger was real. And she had run straight into it. Her last words, to him, echoed inside her mind like a curse could not escape. You are not my father. Now she wished more than anything that he truly was, because he was the only one who ever tried to protect her. The humming inside the cell grew deeper, like something ancient was waking up somewhere far below the ship. Lyra's hands trembled as she pulled again at the glowing cuffs, but they only burned her skin. She stopped struggling when a sudden memory hit her like a sharp blade. Standing in the outpost lab, holding a strange device. Halle checking her blood again and again in secret. Halle saying softly, you are special, Lira, but you must not let anyone know. She had ignored him. She had hated him. Now she understood nothing, except that everything was worse than she imagined. A loud hiss broke her thoughts. The cell door opened. 2 armored aliens stepped inside and unlocked her cuffs. Lira didn't resist. Fear had frozen her mind. They grabbed her arms and walked her down a long metallic corridor. Strange lights followed them, glowing on and off like living creatures. Every step echoed. Every sound vibrtd when they reached the end of the corridor. A huge silver door slid open. Cold blue light spilled out, and Lira saw a massive chamber filled with ancient human technology. Tall pillars, spinning rings, floating cubes, all glowing faintly. Like they were waiting for someone. Move, one alien ordered. Lira stepped inside. The floor hummed under her feet. In the center of the chamber stood a huge circular machine, covered in carvings of old human symbols she didn't understand. What is this? She whispered. The masked leader stepped out from the shadows. This, he said slowly, is the core of the First Empire. A weapon that only your blood can unlock. Lira shook her head. I don't know how to use it. You do not need to know, the leader replied. Your blood remembers what your mind has forgotten. 2 aliens pushed her toward the platform in the center. The moment her foot touched it, the carvings lit up in a bright blue flash. The entire chamber shook. Lyra gasped and tried to step back, but a force pulled her forward. Her heart raced. Her skin buzzed with electricity. The leader watched with cold satisfaction. It begins. The symbols under her feet glowed brighter. Rings spun faster around the chamber. A deep sound rose from the ground, like a giant engine waking after thousands of years. Lira felt something move inside, her hair like a switch being flipped. Her vision blurred. Her body floated slightly above the platform. Blue threads of light crawled up her arms, wrapping around her skin. Her heartbeat synced with the machine. What's happening to me? She screamed. The leader answered calmly. You are awakening. The room exploded with light. Lyra cried out as energy shot through her body, flooding her with strength she never knew existed. A spinning ring lowered from the ceiling and locked around her waist. Forming a cage of light, she could feel something inside her rising, something she could not control. Her mind filled with strange memories, places she had never seen, battles she had never fought, weapons she had never touched. Were these her ancestors' memories? Were these her own? She could not tell. The leader stepped closer. Humans like you once ruled the galaxy. They built weapons that could destroy entire fleets. And now, after centuries, one has returned. Lira screamed as the machine pulled more energy from her veins. Sparks flew, the chamber cracked, the entire warship shook. Sirens blared across the ship. Suddenly, a voice echoed through the comms. Unauthorized activation detected. Shut it down. Shut it down. The leader hissed. No, continue. But something went wrong. The machine spun out of control. Blue lightning shot across the room. Aliens were thrown backward. The floor cracked open. Lyra's eyes turned bright blue as the machine overloaded. A wave of raw energy exploded outward. Throwing every alien to the ground, the leader shielded himself, shouting, "Contain her!" But it was too late. Lyra broke free. Her feet touched the ground, but she no longer felt weak. She no longer felt afraid. Her body glowed with the power of ancient humans. She looked at the masked leader with new eyes. "You kidnapped me," she said in a low, steady voice. "Now I will escape." Before the leader could react, Lira formed a shield of blue energy around herself and sprinted toward the hallway. Alarms blared louder. The ship shook violently. Behind her, the leader screamed, "Stop her. Do not let her reach the docking bay." But Lira didn't stop. She didn't look back. She ran with a strength she never knew she had, because now she understood. The truth, if she didn't escape tonight, the galaxy would never see her alive again. Asterisk. Lyra's escape from the alien warship became a silent legend across the hidden corners of the galaxy. She stole one of their fast scout ships and vanished into deep space, leaving behind a burning vessel collapsing under its own broken core. No one, not even the masked leader, expected her to survive the blast, but she did. Years passed. The scared girl who once shouted at Commander Halle was gone. In her place stood a powerful young woman, a commander feared by enemies and respected by humans. Lira now controlled ancient technology like no one else. Her presence alone could turn the tide of a battle. She helped colonies, fought alien slavers, and built alliances that many old leaders thought impossible. But despite her victories, one thought followed her everywhere. Halle. The man she rejected. The man she denied. The man she walked away from. Every night she remembered his sad eyes as she left the outpost. Every night. She wondered if he was still alive. Then one day, a signal appeared on her ship's screen. Weak, broken, old, but the name attached to it made her heart freeze. Source: Halle Outpost 7. She stared at the blinking message for a long moment. Unable to breathe, she had searched for him before but found nothing. She feared he was dead, and now, suddenly there was a signal? "Set course immediately," she ordered. Her crew looked surprised, but obeyed without question. Lyra's reputation was strong enough that no one dared ask why she suddenly changed direction. Hours later, her ship landed on the dusty, quiet planet she had once hated. But now, every rock, every shadow, felt heavy with memories. The outpost looked abandoned. Metal roofs were rusted. The antenna towers were broken. The wind carried the sound of loose panels hitting each other. Lyra stepped out alone. Her boots made small prints in the dust as she walked toward Hale's old house. The door creaked open with a soft push. Inside, everything was the same, but older, quieter, colder. A few tools lay on the table. A cracked cup sat near the sink. A coat hung near the door, the same coat Halle used to wear during storms. Lyra touched it softly. "I'm sorry," she whispered into the empty room as she walked deeper inside. She found a hidden panel behind Hale's desk. She pushed it open and discovered a small metal case covered in dust. Inside was a device shaped like a small round stone. When she touched it, the device glowed and projected a hologram. Halle appeared, tired, older, but still calm. "Lira," his voice echoed softly. "If you're seeing this, then I could not stay to meet you." Lyra's hands shook. Tears burned her eyes. Halle continued. "I feared the aliens would return. I feared they would come for you. So I left the outpost to draw them away." Lyra's breath trembled. "I hope you found your strength," Halle said. "I hope you survived. And no matter what you think of me, I was proud of you, always. The message ended. Lyra stood still for a long moment. She had survived wars, explosions, and battles. But Hale's quiet message broke something inside her. She sank to her knees, her fists tight. He was proud of me, she whispered, her voice shaking. Even after everything I said. Even after I left him. But then another thought hit her dot if Hale left. Where did he go? And why did the aliens never mention capturing him? Lira wiped her eyes and stood again. She scanned the device. Another tiny message appeared. A set of coordinates leading deep into a silent, forbidden region of space, a place known as the Dead Zone, a region where no signals passed. No ships survived and no one returned. Lira felt the hairs on her arms rise. If Hale was there, then he had been alone for years. Maybe fighting. Maybe trapped. Maybe barely alive. She stepped outside and looked at the sky. I'm coming, she whispered. This time, I won't run away. Her crew saw her expression the moment she boarded the ship and felt the shift. Prepare for travel, she commanded. Destination? The Dead Zone. The engines roared. The stars stretched. The ship jumped into hyperspace. Lira kept her eyes on the coordinates glowing on her screen. For the first time in years, she wasn't fighting for humans. She wasn't fighting for colonies. She wasn't fighting for survival dot. She was fighting for Hale dot, the man she once denied. And the man she was now ready to save? The Dead Zone felt like another universe. No stars shined here. No signals moved through the darkness. It was a silent graveyard of broken ships, floating like forgotten bones. Lyra's ship entered slowly, scanning every direction. Her crew looked nervous. Even the bravest soldiers avoided this place. Commander, the pilot whispered. There is something ahead. Lira stepped closer to the front window. There, drifting quietly in the dark, was an old survival station. Small, damaged, alone. Light flickered from one corner. Weak and dying. Lyra's heart pounded. Hale. She breathed. Prepare docking, she ordered. The ship locked onto the tiny station. The door slid open with a metallic groan. Cold air rushed in. Lyra stepped inside alone. Her crew waited behind the door, knowing this moment belonged to her. The hallway was dark, only lit by failing lights. Dust floated in the air. Lira followed the faint glow toward the central room. Every step echoed loud in the silent station. Then she heard a cough. A weak, tired cough. Lira froze. Her eyes widened. She ran inside the central room. Sitting on the floor near a broken console was Commander Hale. He looked older. Much older. His beard was longer, his clothes worn, his face pale. But when he heard footsteps, he lifted his head slowly. His eyes met Lyra's. For a moment, both of them stayed frozen. Time stopped. Lira. Hale whispered, voice shaking. Lira dropped to her knees in front of him. I came back, she said, her voice breaking. I came back for you. Hale smiled weakly. You grew strong? Just like I knew you would. Lyra grabbed his hands carefully, afraid he might break. I thought you were gone. I thought I lost you. I tried to stay away. To keep them away from you? Hale said softly. His voice was small, fragile. But they found me. I fought them until I couldn't move anymore. Tears filled Lyra's eyes. You saved me, she whispered. All my life. You saved me? Hale shook his head. I only raised you. You saved yourself. You became something greater. Lira swallowed hard. No, I didn't. I hurt you. I left you. I said terrible words. Hale looked at her gently. You were a child. Children make mistakes. But you came back, and that matters more than anything. Lira wiped her tears with her sleeve. I didn't just come back. I brought something else. She stood and pressed a button on her wrist device. Outside the window, thousands of lights appeared in the darkness. A massive human fleet. Glowing like stars waking up after a long sleep. War cruisers, frigates, carriers. A force so strong it made the Dead Zone shine. Hale's eyes widened. You command this? Yes, Lira said softly. For years I fought for humans. But today I brought them for you? Hale stared at her with a trembling smile. His eyes shined with pride. My daughter. You whispered. Lira froze. He had never called her that before. Not once, and she had never accepted it. Until now. She leaned forward and hugged him tightly. I'm your daughter, she whispered. I'm sorry it took me so long to say it. Hale closed his eyes and rested his head on her shoulder. Thank you for coming back. Lira helped him stand as the rescue team entered the room. They gently placed medical devices on him, lifting him with care. As they prepared to send him to the ship. Lira stayed by his side. We're not running anymore, she said. We fight together now. Hale smiled. Then the galaxy should be afraid. As the station door closed behind them, Lira looked back one last time at the dark room where she found him. The place where guilt ended and gratitude began, back on her flagship. She stood on the command deck while Hale rested in the medical bay. The starship engines roared to life. The entire fleet prepared to move. Commander Lira, an officer said. Where to next? Lira looked into the deep, dark space, her eyes sharp, determined, fearless. To the future, she answered. And to anyone who dares come for my father again. The fleet turned, lights flaring bright, engines glowing. And just like that, Lira, once a broken child, now a powerful warrior, began the next chapter of her story, not alone, not angry, but strong, stronger than any enemy the galaxy had ever faced.